Zodiac murdered 5 known victims in the San Francisco Bay Area between December 1968 and October 1969, operating in rural, urban, and suburban settings. He targeted young couples and a lone male cab driver. His known attacks took place in Benicia, Vallejo, unincorporated Napa County, and the city of San Francisco proper. 2 of his wounded victims survived. The Zodiac claimed to have murdered 37 victims. He has been linked to several other cold cases, some in Southern California or outside the state. The Zodiac coined this name in a series of taunting letters and cards that he mailed to regional newspapers, in which he threatened killing sprees and bombings if they were not printed. Some of the letters included cryptograms or ciphers in which the killer claimed that he was collecting his victims as slaves for the afterlife. Of the 4 ciphers he produced to remain unsolved, and one was cracked only in 2020. While many theories regarding the identity of the killer have been suggested, the only suspect authorities ever publicly named was Arthur Lee Allen, a former elementary school teacher and convicted sex offender who died in 1992. Although the Zodiac ceased write-in communications around 1974, the unusual nature of the case led to international interest that has been sustained. Throughout the years, the San Francisco Police Department marked the case inactive in April 2004, but reopened it at some point prior to March 2007. The case also remains open in the city of Vallejo, as well as in Napa and Solana counties. The California Department of Justice has maintained an open case file on the Zodiac murders since 1969. Murders and correspondence. Confirmed murders. Although the Zodiac claimed in letters to newspapers to have committed 37 murders, investigators agree on 7 confirmed assault victims, 5 of whom died, and to survive they are David Arthur Faraday, 17, and Betty Lou Jensen, 16, were shot and killed on December 20, 1968, on Lake Herman Road. Within the city limits of Benicia, Michael Renault Mago, 19, and Darlene Elizabeth Farron, 22, were shot on July 4, 1969, in the parking lot of Blue Rock Springs Park in Vallejo, Bagezerviv. The attack. Farron was pronounced dead on arrival at Kaiser Foundation Hospital. Brian Calvin Hartnell, 20, and Cecilia and Shepard, 22, were stabbed on September 27, 1969, at Lake Berryessa. In Napa County, Hartnell survived, but Shepard died as a result of her injuries. A couple days later, on September 29th, Paul Lee Stein, 29, was shot and killed on October 11, 1969, in the Presidio Heights neighborhood of San Francisco. Lake Herman Road murders. The first murders widely attributed to the Zodiac Killer were the shootings of high school students Betty Lou Jensen and David Arthur Faraday on December 20, 1968, on Lake Herman Road, just inside the city limits of Benicia. The couple were on their first date and planned to attend a Christmas concert at Hogan High School. About 3 blocks from Jensen's home, they visited a friend before stopping at Alico Restaurant and driving out on Lake Herman Road, a popular area for young couples. At about 10:15 p.m., Faraday parked his mother's Rambler in a gravel turnout, which was a well-known lovers' lane. Shortly after 11 p.m., their bodies were found by Stella Borges, who lived nearby. The Solano County Sheriff's Department investigated the crime, but no leads developed. Using available forensic data, Robert Graysmith later speculated in his 1976 account that another car pulled into Thedernaut just prior to 11 p.m. and parked beside the couple. The killer may have exited the second car and walked toward the Rambler, possibly ordering the couple out of it. It appeared that Jensen had exited the car first, but when Faraday Washoe fell out, the killer shot him in the head. The killer shot Jensen 5 times in the back. As she fled, her body was found to 8 feet from the car. The killer drove off after this Blue Rock Springs murder. Just before midnight on July 4, 1969, Darlene Ferrin and Michael Magot drove into the Blue Rock Springs Park in Vallejo and parked. It is for miles 6.4 kilometers from the Lake Herman Road murder site. While the couple sat in Ferrin's car, a second car drove into the lot and parked alongside them, but almost immediately drove away. Returning about 10 minutes later, this second car parked behind them. The driver of the second car exited and approached the passenger side door of Ferrin's car, carrying a flashlight and a 9mm Luger. The killer directed the flashlight into Maggio's and Ferrin's eyes before shooting at them. Firing 5 times, both victims were hit, and several bullets passed through Magot and into Ferrin. The killer walked away from the car but returned and shot each victim twice more before driving off. On July 5, 1969, at 12:40 a.m., a man phoned the Vallejo Police Department to report and claim responsibility for the attack. The caller also took credit for the murders of Jensen and Faraday 6.5 months earlier. Police traced the call to a phone booth at a gas station at Springs Road and Tuolumne, located about 3/10 of a mile 500 meters from Ferrin's home and a few blocks from the Vallejo Police Department. 12 Ferrin was pronounced dead at the hospital. Magot survived the attack despite being shot in the face, neck, and chest. Magot described his attacker as a 26 to 30-year-old, 195 to 200 pound, 88 to 91 kilograms, or possibly even more, 5 foot 8 inch, 1.73 meters, white male with short, light brown curly hair. First letters from the Zodiac.
I like killing people because it is so much fun. It is more fun than killing wild game in the forest. Because man is the most dangerous animal. All to kill something gives me the most thrilling experience. It is even better than getting your rocks off with a girl the best part of. It is they. When I die, I will be reborn in paradise, and all there I have killed will become my slaves. I will not give you my name because you will try to slow down or atop my collection of slaves for my afterlife.
On August 1st, 1969, 3 letters, purportedly prepared by the killer, were received at the Vallejo Times-Herald, the San Francisco Chronicle, and the San Francisco Examiner. The nearly identical letters subsequently described by a psychiatrist to have been written by someone you would expect to be brooding and isolated, took credit for shootings at Lake Herman Road and Blue Rock Springs. Each letter also included 1/3 of a 408-symbol cryptogram which the killer claimed contained his identity. The killer demanded they be printed on each paper's front page, or he would cruise around whole weekend killing lone people in the night, then move on to kill again. Until I end up with a dozen people over the weekend, the Chronicle published its third of the cryptogram. On page 4 of the next day's edition, an article printed alongside the quote quoted Vallejo Police Chief Jackie Stilts as saying we're not satisfied that the letter was written by the murderer and requested the writer send a second letter with more facts to prove his identity. The threatened murders did not happen, and all 3 parts of the cryptogram were eventually published. On August 7, 1969, the San Francisco Examiner received a letter with the salutation, "Dear editor, this is the Zodiac speaking." This was the first time the killer had used this name for identification. The letter was a response to Chief Stilts's request for more details that would prove he had killed Faraday, Jensen, and Farron in it. The Zodiac included details about the murders that had not yet been released to the public. He also said that when the police cracked his code, they will have me. Author Seren Rost-Korsgaard explains that the episode paragraph in this letter referenced the Alfred Hitchcock presence. Episode museum piece, the attachment of a light to a gun, was a plot element which Zodiac adopted. The episode dialogue also contains the phrase "the most dangerous game Zodiac was," both referring to and acting out Hitchcock story elements. On August 8, 1969, Donald and Betty Hardin of Salinas, California, cracked the 408-symbol cryptogram. It contained a misspelled message in which the killer seemed to reference the most dangerous game. The author also said that he was collecting slaves for his afterlife. No name appears in this decoded text. The killer said that he would not give away his identity because it would slow down or stop his slave collection. Lake Berryessa murder. On September 27, 1969, Pacific Union, college students Brian Hartnell and Cecilia Shepard were picnicking at Lake Berryessa on a small island connected by a sand spit to Twin Oak Ridge. A white man, about 5 feet 11 inches, 1.80 meters, weighing more than 170 pounds, 77 kilograms, approached them wearing a black executioner's type hood with clip-on sunglasses over the eye holes and a bib-like device on his chest that had a white 3x3 inch 7.6 centimeters times 7.6 centimeters cross circle symbol on it. He approached them with a gun, which Hartnell believed to be a .45. The hooded man claimed to be an escaped convict from a jail with a 12-word name in either Colorado or Montana. A police officer later inferred that the man had been referring to a jail in Deer Lodge.